What's up, everybody? Cleen Rock One here. We are going to do a podcast at the Chrome Gypsy compound. And with me today, I got Big Jake.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
So we're going to basically get into talking about probably tattoos because me and you both have been tattooing for a long
It's been a trip, man. It's been a journey for sure.
Yeah. So basically, let's start it out here. Where'd you start tattooing?
Well, I started tattooing down in Florida, where a bunch of us guys got a house. And all those magazines used to come out back in the day, Flash and Tattoo, the cool shit. And got my first gear, Huck Spalding, the $500 set with the tubes and the needles and all that. Start blasting my friends. So that was, probably early 2000, maybe around 2001, something like that. So yeah, just start blasting my friends out of my fucking bedroom and having a great time and making some hamburger and learning some stuff.
So what was your first tattoo?
My first tattoo is on a brother of mine, man. He's gone past, so rest in peace, Reed. But it was a neon bright mohawk that he already had on a skull on his knees that he wanted me to do a neon mohawk on top of it.
So he had the mohawk. He had the tattoo already with the mohawk
already, but he wanted me to put a neon punk rock skull.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, mohawk on it.
It was like the exploited skull,
Yeah,
and then he added color to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried, man.
You sit there and grind it in there.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, you got to grind it in to make it bright.
Yeah. Filling in with a 3 tight didn't work that well, with a bright neon color.
Well, back in the day, things were a lot different. Like I never in a million years would have thought like shading with a 3 was like efficient or effective.
Absolutely.
But now I go to the tattoo conventions and that's all I see dudes doing.
Yeah.
I worked with Chris Shockley and I was like floored. Like that dude was doing the smoothest black and gray I'd ever seen with a tight 3. And I'm like, I was mind blown. So like it changes your like thinking because like, you can't pack color with a 3, but then here you see guys doing it now, which is really crazy to me, So like, I feel like being in the game back then, like doing the things that, you're taught, sometimes you think, oh, maybe I was misled, like, because, back then they said you can't pack color, you can't shade with a 3.
100%.
But maybe it was just the guys that were, teaching us, educating us on what to do was kind of maybe the bad advice, because now dudes are clearly doing it. That's a huge style now. Seeing these guys do that pepper shading,
the stipple shading,
with the 3s, and it's a thing.
It is a thing, and I think it became popular. I don't know, like the guys that got out of prison and would do that stipple shading because that's all they had to work with in prison back in the day, and they started doing that feathering with those fine lines, and that was a big thing out in like Southern California back in the day. And Good Time Charlie's, is that what it was? That a
that's
shop out there,
Jack and
Pikes Peak or Pikes area out in California.
Yeah, Fred Negretti and Jack.
Those guys.
They're pioneers of that,
those guys,
for sure.
But like I was looking at their stuff, but I didn't know how to do it. So like it was basically, I was just off the top, man, just trying whatever I could to figure some stuff out. Trial and error all the way, bro.
Yeah. You're definitely, I say it all the time, like you're a product of your environment as 100%. Well, because it took me a good year or so to get around some good guys to actually like be like, oh man, everything I've been doing is kind of like wrong.
Right.
And I feel, and I say this all the time as well, like starting back when we did start, because I started in 95 and, it took a lot longer to become a good tattooer than now you got these kids that are, they're like, oh, I bought this stuff off of YouTube or off of, Amazon, and I went on YouTube, and now I'm like, you're a good tattooer.
Right.
So yeah, I feel like it's, times are definitely changed a little bit, as far as that goes.
Oh yeah. They changed 100%. The era of starting out and tattooing and becoming a proficient tattoo artist from day one, you're looking at, I don't know, man, years before you thought you could do a friggin' badass tattoo. Like you said, these kids are coming in and just blasting these amazing pieces, and they've been, working 6 months, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do feel like, a lot of people talk about, oh, the machines are so much better and efficient and blah, blah, blah. And I don't necessarily think that they're better. I think they're probably maybe a little easier to figure out.
100%.
Because I can, now that I know how to tattoo, and I can tattoo with anything. You can hand me a crappy machine and I can make it work. Where if you hand somebody a machine that somewhat already functions pretty well, they're going to be able to do a decent tattoo if they have any kind of art abilities. Where I think back in the day, somebody would hand you a coil machine, and you don't know if that thing's just going to rip holes in the person. I mean, and it could go either way. It could run super smooth, and you'll be like, oh, cool, this works pretty awesome. Or you use the machine and you're like, okay, cool, I just sliced my buddy open like it was a razor blade.
Yeah.
So I feel like with that being said, like, it's definitely obviously there's cheap Amazon machines that are out there that people are buying. And I mean, hell, I know a guy that uses them, and he's, one of the best tattooers I know.
It's crazy.
He just buys a new one every couple months.
Yeah.
But I don't encourage that. The better the machine, the better the product. But again, he came from an era where we had to use the machines that we had, and he could tattoo with a butter knife, with a needle on the end of it.
Right. Right.
So it's definitely different, because I mean, I can tell you right now, I could hand a coil machine to some of these kids doing amazing tattoos, and they wouldn't the bed.
Yes. Yes.
So me personally, I know a lot of people talk about, oh, you always use those coils and this and that. I mean, I have all of them. I have the rotary machines. I have the sidewinders, and I obviously have coil machines, and I feel like they are is tools in my toolbox.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see a master mechanic working on your car with a hammer and a crescent wrench.
Right.
He's got everything.
He's got the Mac toolbox.
And that's me. I want to be a master of all of it. I just have my preferences that I like, and it just comes down to, my style that I do is kind of embedded with the coil machine. And I feel like, but I mean, I feel I'm pretty versatile.
You're loyal to the coil, man.
I do like a coil machine. I still have a Jonesy that I rock all the time. I feel like it has such a nice slap, and it has nice, good peppering. Sometimes it slows me down compared to these new ones that I'm using, because I'm using those Dan Cubans that are pretty nice.
Oh, yeah.
I like those.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So, but then again, it's just preference. Like at this point, it's preference. Some of these kids, they walk around the conventions when I'm at it, and they literally are like, "Oh, that's one of those antique machines."
Yeah,
and I'm like,
man.
Antique machine? Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
This isn't an antique.
That's
but I mean,
disrespectful, or what?
it's they don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
They don't get it.
I know. I literally know kids that have been tattooing 7-8 years that have never used a coil machine.
Yeah.
The times have changed.
Yeah.
If that's what they are brought up with, I mean, we used to clown on guys that didn't know how to make needles.
Sure.
Now there's a whole room full of those kids, and there's 2 guys in the whole room that do know how to make. So on that note, it's kind of like, well, it's kind of like, all right, the times are changing, but I think it's all right.
Yeah, I think it's all right.
I think the tattoos are getting great. I mean, I was just at the Richmond convention and the Northern Virginia Villain Arts convention, and I'll tell you, I saw some of the best tattoos I've ever seen. Like the bar is so high right now that you're like, wow.
Yeah, it's up there, man.
It's amazing, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm not talking just like the picture itself, image wise. I'm talking like the application.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Yeah.
how these guys are putting. They don't even
Not
look
raised.
They
you
don't
know
even
what I
look
mean?
like real tattoos on the skin.
Right, right.
So you know the age old debate is, oh, well, what's it gonna look like in 20 years? I'm like, well, show me a good tattoo that looks great in 20 years. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Like,
Yeah,
yeah, all tattoos fade, all
Yeah.
tattoos age.
absolutely.
It's just nature of the beast. So I think just doing the best you can, no matter what, is obviously the key. So, but back to you. What was your first tattoo, and what got you to the like into tattoos? Because like for me, like I was 16, and even before I was 16, I was a kid. I knew that those dudes that were covered in tattoos, those were my people. Like I knew,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Well, the first tattoo I did, like I said, was that mohawk on my buddy. And what got me into it was, man, I was young. I was always an artist. I drew all my life since I was a kid. I always wanted to do art. But I was living, like traveling around and installing cable dishes, like in the West Virginia mountains and stuff. And I had this roommate that was a friend of mine's cousin, and he got a hotel room with me, so we kind of like stayed together. Well, he brought his tattoo machines. He just got out of prison, and he brought his tattoo stuff to the hotel, and he would tattoo in the evenings and stuff. And I just got kind of hooked, man. That like, you know, the money he could make, and it was just cool, man. It was cool for me to see something like that, and it inspired me to do something like that. So, years went by, and then I moved down to Florida with a bunch of buddies and got my Hux Spalding stuff, and then just started tattooing my boys, man. Like, you know, like I would say now, like, guys, get you a mentor. You know, like I did it trial and error all the way, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I would here and there, I would get a little bit of tips, you know what I mean? But I never went to a shop and had like somebody well-rounded in the tattoo field that taught me how to tune a machine, make a machine, you know, make needles, all that stuff, which I kind of figured out over time, but it took years, you know, and
which goes back to what we were just saying, where the knowledge wasn't available back then,
Right.
unless you had an in.
Right.
And I mean, I know for a fact, I went to a convention years ago, and at this time, I was doing good quality tattoos. And I remember going to buy a machine from a guy, and he wanted to see my portfolio first before he sold me this tattoo machine. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
he literally was like,
Yeah.
let me see your work first before I sell you this, because I heard his machines were the best.
Right.
So once he saw my work, he was like, here you go, kid.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know, on one hand, I felt, oh yeah, cool. I made the club, you know, and then once you got the in, that opened all the doors.
Yeah.
But until then, I get kids that hit me up every day on social media. Hey, how do you do this? Hey, how do you do that?
Yeah,
Hey, how do you do that?
yeah.
And I hate to be the gatekeeper, but at some point you have to say, hey man, like I had to figure this
Yep.
out. Like you should go figure it out too. You know what I mean? And if you're not capable of figuring it out, well then why should I just go ahead and just hand that over to you?
Yes.
So I guess
Yes.
at some point it is kind of a gatekeeping kind of thing, but at the same time, like, you know, I don't want to be that guy that sits here and hoards knowledge that's not worthy to give to people.
Yeah, but it's something you earned, man, that you know that you
For sure.
just don't want to throw away to people
For
that
sure.
haven't earned it yet.
I mean, I help tons of tattooers. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I do. People ask me questions and whatnot, but we've built a relationship.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's just answering every DM on my Instagram. Hey, what kind of this do you use? What kind of that do you use? And what do I do with this? And hey, what's this machine and that machine? And I'm like, look, man, you know. And then at some point you see their drawings and stuff, and I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
I can hand you the golden ticket, bro.
Right.
I can send you in the best machines, the best needles, the best ink, the best everything on the market, and guess what? You're still gonna suck.
Yeah, it's still gonna look like
You know? So it's I don't know. But what was your very first tattoo that you did that you got yourself?
my first tattoo that
Yeah.
I got blasted with. Let's see, what was it? Oh, it was my stomach. So back in the day, like when I was in like turned 18, Sublime was a big thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
So like the cover of the CD of Sublime, Brad had Sublime tattooed across his belly. So I was like, rock and roll, we're going with that. So I just blasted my last name across my stomach. And yeah.
Which was that was pretty common. Like to get a belly rockers back in the 90s and 2000s. Like that was, I mean, I probably bought a Harley with doing just those.
Yeah.
You know, and the same thing with the name across your back, you know?
Oh yeah.
And then it went from, oh, you got the name across your back so your boyfriend could knew who he was fucking. And then it turned into I don't want my name across my back anymore. You know?
Right. And then the name on the collar came in.
Yeah. I got one of those. You know, I got the car club there. You know, that was a thing for sure. But like, I think again, back to you know, you can look at a tattoo and you can almost tell when it got done.
Oh, 100%.
Like you can I'll meet chicks online and, you know, I'll be like, oh, cool. You just started getting tattooed like 3-4 years ago.
Right.
You know, or I'm like, or I'll meet a chick or somebody and I'll be like, oh yeah, you've been getting tattooed since the 2000s.
Right.
You know, like you can tell an era of the person started getting tattooed just by looking at their tattoos.
Yep.
You know,
the art in it and the colors, the way they look and all that.
I can tell you right now, I see some of these kids and I could tell they've only been in the game for a short period of time because they don't have a lot of tattoos on their arms and chest and, you know, torso, but then they got their whole face blasted.
Yeah, that's the thing now, man. Like,
yeah, it's you can tell a lot by you know, just, I mean, if a chick's got a chest tattoo, for the most part, that was pretty heavy in the business, in the alternative kind of world. You know, late 90s, early 2000s. That was a huge thing. Then it went from the chest to the under boob in the mid to late 2000s.
Jewel type stuff. Yeah.
2013. I mean, I probably did 1,000 of those things.
Yeah. 100%.
That was like the huge thing. You know, the girls with the tramp stamps. I mean, that was a 90s thing all day.
Yep.
You know, we did those. Sometimes I would do 4 or 5 of the same one.
Oh yeah.
A week. Yeah. You know, like it was like you had the Cherry Creek, man. You were making money.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's how I was. We had the Cherry Creek and I used to spruce that stuff up. I'd always throw drop shadows on them. And, you know, I was
making your own a little bit.
Yeah, I was just trying to do good art, good tattoos.
Yeah, man. 100%.
And it seemed like that stuff was the best drawn flash on the walls at the time.
Yeah.
You know, and
there wasn't a lot of new flash coming out, man. You know, it was like the old stuff, and then like the stuff you're talking about, you know, and that lasted for years, man.
Which is crazy because you'll see that tribal is like kind of like starting to come back in.
Yeah,
and everybody talks so much trash about it.
Oh, you got a sick tribal, fucking sick.
Well, everybody talks so much trash about, you know, tattooers especially. You know, they'll talk so much trash. Tribal and Tasmanian devils. But then you see cool kid tattooers getting a Taz with tribal tattooed on them.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like it's just odd to me that like how trends turn into these fads and then all of a sudden it's not cool, but then all of a sudden the cool kids are getting it, which is it's odd. You know, the whole tattoo business is definitely full of odd characters to start with. It always has been.
Yeah.
You know, so to see these trads is kind of weird. I mean, I'm blasted head to toe.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think I have ever gotten tattooed by somebody that wasn't just as covered.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like I feel like everybody I get tattooed by is pretty
heavy,
pretty decently tattooed. You know what I mean? Like I say it all the time. Like I might not have the best tattoos to today's standards, but at the same time, I wouldn't trade it for nothing because I've been a tattooed person my whole life.
Right.
Not just a like doing tattoos. I'm a heavy collector.
Right.
So I like the whole look of just having. I'd rather have a whole bodysuit full of crap than no tattoos at all.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, like Lyle Tuttle and Gil the Drill. You know what I mean? When they take their shirts off and get their pictures done and stuff, like that's their era of tattooing, man, and it looks fucking badass,
And
man.
I mean, that's,
you know,
that's what I love too.
Yeah.
Like when I was coming up in the tattoo biz, and even before I started tattooing, I would go down and I'd steal the magazines, you know, I'd go down to the newspaper stand and I'd grab all the tattoo magazines. So I had a stack of them at my house before I even started tattooing, you know, just because I love the whole thing. And just seeing all these dudes with just super solid coverage, you know, and all the biker magazines, the Easy Riders, you know, like I just love that whole look as far as like, all right, these are the dudes I want to hang out with, not the dudes that don't have tattoos, you know,
exactly.
Like all my heroes growing up, all the Jason Jesse, the Godoy brothers, you know, those guys were like the tattooed guys that I was like, yeah, like these dudes are all the punk rock kids, all the punk rock guys. They all had tattoos. And I really was just like, these are the dudes I relate with more. And I don't know what their political stance was, but what their look was, I was like, that's what I like. You know, that's what I'm going for, you know. And then, of course, you know, the whole biker thing, you know.
Absolutely, man.
Like, kind of comes hand in hand.
Yeah, tattoos and bikes, man.
Yeah, like a lot of the, you know, I mean, I remember going into the tattoo shop when I was 10 years old.
Right.
And, you know, this is a funny story. I walked into the tattoo shop and I was about 10 years old. And I go in there and there's a bunch of motorcycles out front. And I walk in and they all had guns, like shotguns and handguns and stuff. And I walk in and I'm like, I'm looking at all the flash and I'm seeing shit that I've never seen before. I'm seeing titties and you know, swastikas you know, racist shit.
Right.
What kind of world am I in right now? These dudes all got guns. I'm like, holy shit. Like, you know, first thing the guy says, hey, what, you need any help, kid? I was like, yeah, I want to get a tattoo. They're like, you got any money?
Right.
And I was like, no. And they're like, come back when you do. I was like, yeah. Okay.
I'll be here, man.
And I ran back to that motherfucker as soon as I turned 16, you know.
Right.
And that was the thing. It was just a different kind of
avenue of a lifestyle and a path to go down.
Well, I found out years later that I walked right into the middle of a fucking biker war.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, there was some club transferring going around, and I guess there was a huge some conflict of interest going on. I walked right into this as a kid, and but to see all the biker dudes and to see all of, you know, because when you're growing up, that's all they said is like, oh, you're either going to be a gangbanger or a prison ex-con or, just you're never going to be able to get a job. And I don't know, I guess I didn't see it that way at all.
No.
Those guys that had all those tattoos, I saw them as way cooler dudes and more successful than the people that were telling me this.
They just weren't following the man and trying to live, you know, the box life of how to make a living. You know, they were entrepreneurs, hustlers, whatever they could do to make some bread, hanging drywall, whatever, getting a company together. You know, they just weren't following the line of you got to stay in this box to be successful in life. You know,
totally. And that's the thing with tattoos. You know, they have come so far because I mean, hell, how many old ladies we get in here that are grandmas that are like, I got to get my grandbaby's initials tattooed on me. And it's like, you're God, like the last thing you need to be worried about is getting a tattoo, but nope, she's got to get tattooed. Like, it's so crazy how the times have changed from the stereotypes back then. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's still stereotypes and, you know, there's I'm sure plenty of scumbags out there getting tattooed.
Yeah. And that's true.
But you definitely have school teachers getting tattooed. You got doctors getting tattooed, nurses up the ass. Literally.
That's definitely a thing.
But, you know, like it's definitely not how it used to be.
No.
You know, because like when we started tattooing, like it was the outcast, you know, the outlaw kind of like rebellion thing to do. And that's what I fell in love with.
I dug that. Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
You know, and now I look at it like, okay, well, now the only way to make me stand out from all the people that are getting into the tattoo that are kind of like is just get more tattoos.
Yes.
That's kind of how I look at it. Like, I'm like, all right, well, I have to be solid tattoos. no skin left whatsoever
Right.
on my body,
Right.
you know, but I feel like, all right, I'm taking it to the extreme,
Right.
and not because I'm in competition or anything. Like I mean, obviously I show off my tattoos, but I'm not, I don't get tattooed for anybody else.
Sure. Absolutely.
You know, I feel like, you know, it's just one of those things, you know, I love tattoos.
Same here, man.
But, let's talk about your inspiration for you tattooing, and like your style, and what drives you, and what you like, what puts you like in a good mood when you get to the shop, when you're like, yeah, I got this coming in today, or what doesn't. Like what do you enjoy, and what inspires you, like as an artist?
Yeah, nowadays I just like I'm getting really into the trad stuff, whether it's new school trad or old school, and keeping it really old school trad, you know, not doing any little any tweaks myself, just keeping it super, super old school traditional the way it was. That's cool as hell to me now. It used to be a lot of, you know, black and gray Latino type of stuff, lettering, script, hainas, you know, portraits, you know, stuff like that. But to get to the shop and to know I got a bright and bold tattoo coming in, some trad, or some soft black and gray, you know, portrait, cool stuff is what gets me going, man.
Yeah,
You know?
I think that, and that's also, you know, that makes you super versatile.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of guys that only have one thing, one trick in their bag, I guess they
Yeah.
call it, one trick pony. I
Right.
feel like I've never been that guy, because
Yeah, me
you
either,
know,
man.
Yeah, like I worked at a street shop,
Street shops, yeah.
and so I've been able to, you know, I had to. I wasn't, you know, I had to do everything. Like
Yeah.
it was, you know, the rule at the shop was you don't let money walk out the door.
Right.
And you don't
Get
send
him in
it,
the chair.
You don't send it to the guy down the street so that he can do it.
Right.
You don't need, you know, because what happens if you're feeding the guy down the street? Well, he's putting that billboard up right in front of your place.
That's right.
And everybody's going in there. So, and on top of that, it was just more of like a, again, just having more tricks in my bag, you know, like when I went on Ink Master, I had to do everything.
Yeah.
You know, at least that's how it was when I was on Ink
Because they
Master.
gave you like every style to do, right?
Yeah. You know, so I felt pretty comfortable and confident. I was like, piece of cake.
Right.
Like whatever.
Well, other guys probably had challenges because they only were one style guys,
For
you
sure.
know, or girls
For sure.
or whatever.
For sure. Yeah. But yeah, I definitely have, I've seen your traditional stuff, and I think it looks great.
I appreciate
think that's
it.
definitely a strong suit. You know, your black and gray stuff looks great. I think the future is like, it's like endless. You know what I mean? Like some of the stuff that these kids are like wanting you to tattoo on them.
Right.
And you know, when they're explaining it to you, you kind of like your jaw kind of drops, and then I feel like, okay, all right, relax. I feel like you just have to be a versatile tattooer to say, okay, you know what? How am I going to turn this into something that is going to actually work as a tattoo? Because I mean, there are things that that obviously, you know, don't really work well as far as tattoos go.
Well, yeah.
My big thing with you know, when you know, I'll work at a shop and I'll hear a lot of guys say, oh, you can't do this and you can't do that and you can't do this. A lot of times, you know, you'll hear the clients come in that went to other tattoo shops and they're like, oh, I want to get this and this and this, but I went to this shop and they said it can't be done. And to me, I'm like, well, challenge accepted.
Yeah,
you know, like,
yeah.
I feel like sometimes a lot of the tattooers kind of steer the client in a direction that's easily capable of them to tattoo, you know?
Yeah.
So sometimes I feel like it's a challenge myself to say, hey, look, all right, let's figure out how to make this actually work. And a lot of times the clients don't know, and you just got to show them.
Yeah, it's also having enough confidence in your skills and in your experience to be able to, you know, jump into a challenge like that, you know?
Yeah, I've definitely been hit with some crazy ones lately. Like the past, I mean, obviously the bar is really really high.
Yeah.
And I've been hit with some crazy asks, and I'm just like, oh man. And it, you know, sometimes it's frustrating, but then I got to check myself and be like, look, don't be a lazy tattooer. Don't be, you know, like, let's figure out how to make this actually work. You know, I mean, there's sometimes where I'll say, hey, look, I can't do those 13 perfect circles.
Right.
You know, on
Yeah,
your
I'm not Michelangelo.
on your flabby stomach.
Yeah.
I'm not the dude.
Trash bags, man.
Yeah, I'm not the guy.
I always explain it like that.
So sometimes I admit my abilities. I'm like, oh, you want a straight line going from your spine to your ankle? I'm like,
yeah, come on,
how straight
man.
do you want it?
Yeah.
Do you want it like Richter scale straight?
Right.
Do you want it like,
Because when you move this way, it's going to be a curve, bro.
yeah. I know my limits.
Yeah.
But what do you think about as far as like the future of tattooing? Because I hear this a lot from a lot of guys that have been in the business a long time, and they always talk about like, oh, the industry. Like, what's your take and your opinion on the industry now, and what's ahead in the future? I mean, obviously we don't know, but you know, what do you think's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I think just more and more people are getting into the tattoo business and industry, and that the, you know, more, which is good, but it also makes the guys that have been in the industry a long time still have challenges to get to that level or that bar, unless they just want to sit at the same level their whole career. You know, for me, you know, I like to push myself each time and check out guys' new stuff, learn, you know, like, okay, they did that or whatever, and make my artwork, you know, exceed the level that I'm at, you know, because being stagnant, you know, and just on the same level your whole career, then, you know, I believe you're just going to stay that way, man. The money's going to stay that way, you know, so just more and more people are going to get into it, and the art's going to get better and better. The machines are going to get lighter and lighter, you know.
I can't work with a light machine.
Yeah.
I'm like, you put a light machine in my hand, I'm like,
well, yeah, because
over
back
here
in the
like,
day, you had
Steve, I just can't.
you had a metal pencil, basically, with a lead weight on the end of it that you're trying to tattoo.
Yeah, everybody clowned me for a long time because I used the little 5/8 grip.
Oh,
and I used
bro,
those forever, and I liked them because.
Did you let it rest on your hand, or you just have?
Oh, dude, I used to have.
What do we call that? Like the money bump. That's it right there, bro.
I remember when I first met my ex-wife, she was like,
Got
"What
the money bumps,
like,
bro?
What the hell's wrong with your finger?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" Like, she thought I was like deformed.
Yeah.
I mean, it was huge.
Yeah.
And but I mean, my machines are so. I got a callus here and on the top of my hand from tattooing.
Oh yeah, from
from my machines.
Yeah, machine hit right there.
But, you know, that's the you know, that's kind of like
but that's cool, man.
They're like battle scars.
Yeah,
absolutely. I cannot line with a light machine. Like, man, you give me a light. I mean, if it's maybe small and kind of intricate, you know, like, okay, no problem. But man, if I gotta fucking pull a long line, oh my god, that thing is as shaky as can be. I mean, you might as well have just rode the bus and did it on the bus, because I just can't.
Well, I wonder if that's with a counterweight, you know, with a machine on the end of your hand. If it's a counterweight that kind of stables your hand out when you're pulling that line, rather than not having no weight on there, and now you're just relying on, you know.
I don't know. All I know is the heavier the machine for me, man, the
straighter that line's gonna be.
Yeah, like I say it all the time. I'm like, I'm like, everybody, hey, try this machine out. I'm like,
swerve.
Like I bought some of those heavy grips.
Oh yeah, dude.
Those ones, they were for these, you know, for the Dan Cuban things, and they're a cartridge adjustable machine, and I liked those because they're actually like pretty stout, you know.
Right, but dude, I see these guys with these grips nowadays, and they might as well like drill a hole in a baseball, you know what I mean, and put a tube in there.
Yeah,
and they're holding it like their hands this big, holding a machine.
Yeah,
you know, I'm like,
I don't have good control when my hands like that.
Yeah, I can't get that one either. I like a little bit of grip on mine, but nothing like that exceeds 4 inches, bro.
Yeah, I've seen some big ridiculous grips at these conventions.
And it's like usually like a little chick too, little bitty hands. She's holding this fucking big ass.
Yeah, I've seen it all.
Yeah.
Me personally, I just I like a regular old 1 inch, 1.25 grip now.
Yeah.
But that's and the only reason I like those is because they're disposable. Like if I was to go back to steel tubes, I'd probably like the smaller grip, just because the only reason I use the bigger ones because the weight, it's a little heavier. So, but I like the little tiny grip. It's kind of weird, man.
See, back in the day when I was using machines like that Elks Bowling stuff that I got, those 2 Puma lightweights, and then I would put disposables on. The disposables back in the day were really flimsy, I thought. You know what I mean? And like, I just never had good luck with them, so I got really discouraged, and I just kind of like so frustrated, man. You know.
I started. I started using disposable tubes, and I'd use them. I'd try them here and there, because Fat Joe was trying to sell his Toss-A tube back in the day, and they were a little tiny grip, little tiny baby grip, but the weight was terrible, and the actual tip was plastic, and it was so big. It was like this big, huge, round tube, and it had this little baby needle coming out of the middle of it, and I couldn't see it. So I started using disposables in 2000. I'm going to say 11, 2012, maybe 13, like somewhere around there. I started using because we had a sterile room at the shop, and we, scrubbed the tubes and whatnot. But then I remember I found some disposables, and I was like, these actually work pretty good, and I think by that time, they were fairly decent. And then I was, still doing a lot of conventions, I take it back. I just started doing more conventions, and it was just way easier to go to the convention with some disposables,
right?
Because I remember having to lug all my machines, all my tubes, all my needles. You're carrying this goddamn fucking tote. I had this plastic toolbox that I used to bring everywhere that had all my shit in it. Because you go to a convention, you're like, I don't know how many tubes I'm going to use.
Sure.
So it was definitely a learning curve figuring out how to use those damn plastic tubes. And now I like them.
Yeah, it's what you run pretty much all the time now.
Yeah, now I like them. Now I'm like, there are some companies I've been wanting to try. If you're out there, hit me up. There are a couple tubes out there that I want to try that are metal disposable tubes.
Okay.
So a couple, I tried them, maybe 10 years ago, and I didn't like them. I was not a fan. They were just kind of weird. But now, obviously, everything evolves, and they fine tune until it's like, hey, look, I got this perfect little tube now. You want one? And so I'm gonna probably hop on that train again and see about, trying some new disposable metal tips, because I just like it. I know there was some for a while, and they were so loud. I remember they were so loud and pingy that it just made the tattoo experience like
shit.
Yeah, just kind of uncomfortable. You're oh my God, this is not cool. So if you got, let's switch gears here. I was just thinking about this. Because everybody always asks me, what's the craziest tattoo you've ever done? And then after that, we're going to go into what's the, let's talk a funny tattoo story.
Oh man, craziest tattoo I've ever done. I've done a lot of crazy ones, man.
I guess it depends on, I always say, I'm like, well, it depends on what you think is crazy,
Yeah. Like,
we'll just say to the average listener right now, when they hear this, their jaw's gonna drop.
Yeah. This one chick, she had this idea. She wanted to put some boxing gloves like right above her area. You know what I mean? And I was like, all right. And she's like, yeah, I wanted to say hit it like a champ, like right above it. I was like,
that's a classic.
It's a classic one.
That's a good one.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So I got to do that one. That one's kind of crazy, man, I think.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, the whole I got a friend, and she tattoos a lot of buttholes and a lot like genitalia tattoos,
Mhm.
and that's usually like I get when people ask me that, like that's what they want to hear. You
Right,
know?
right.
They're like, oh, what's the craziest shit you've ever done? I'm like,
yeah.
well, I mean, obviously I've tattooed plenty of
Yeah.
tattooed plenty of, and
If you're in the industry long enough, they're gonna come through your door.
yeah,
Yeah.
and especially back in the day.
100%.
You know, back in the day, it was well, like we're doing this because you know, we got bills to pay, and we're just, you know, I mean, we're fucking weirdos too, so it's kind of like whatever.
You know what I mean?
Like another dude's dong ain't gonna fucking bother me, or
Right,
you know what I
right,
mean?
right.
It's I'm gonna tax your ass for this. You're not getting a discount. You know what I mean?
The tax man.
Yeah, so it's like, hey, you're paying the piper, and I got bills to pay. So, but yeah, I think back in the day it was pretty common, but now, like, it seems like I know a lot of cats that are running out getting some crazy. I mean, you could
Oh man,
just go on Instagram right now and
man.
see some girl bent over with like
Oh,
octopuses
yeah.
coming out of her panties.
yeah.
Like you're like, holy
Yeah,
cow.
like old boy, a convention I just went to, we went to, and you know, slicing a guy right in the middle, man.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah.
the old like hot dog bun open. You know what I mean? I'm like, damn. Now that's crazy. He's like, yeah, just one a day, man.
Yeah.
You know, and the slanging them out. I was like, all right, man.
Yeah, and then that's the whole thing, you know, like it's what is going to basically I sometimes I feel like the ask is like, what is the craziest thing that you know, can like be done to, like, for shock value.
Sure.
You know, like, do they really want this, or they just want the craziest shit that they can?
Yeah.
So who knows on that? But yeah, I've got a.
What about those suspensions, man? Those suspensions are pretty gnarly.
All my friends.
Yeah, didn't you?
I got a bunch of friends that do that.
A guy was hanging one time and one popped or something, then he broke his leg or something.
Yeah, Robbie Ripple.
Oh
yeah,
man, bro.
He was suspending and the rigging fell, and he fell like 15 feet to the ground and broke his leg super severely. Broke his leg to where he had to cut his leg off.
Oh my goodness, bro.
So yeah, like the whole suspension deal. Like I got a bunch of friends, and that's their gig. That's how they make a living doing, and they're doing this from, you know, they're every weekend they're hanging from a different body part. You know what I mean? They're hanging from the back one weekend, then they're hanging from their chest, then they're hanging from their elbows, then they're hanging from their knees, and they're hanging from, you know, their shoulders again. Like they travel around every weekend doing that. I've never done it. I personally, I'm not into it.
Now, is that something that a client, like civilian, can come to the show and get done to them, or is that just their people are doing it?
You know what, I've heard, I've had some clients that were like, oh yeah, I hit them up and told them I wanted to do it. So I'm not sure how to go about doing it.
Right.
I'm sure if you hit up that crew that suspends at the Villain Arts show, because I know there's a couple different crews.
Right.
I'm sure if you hit them up, maybe they'd be into teaching you how to do it or entertaining or whatnot. Me personally, I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
But
I just didn't know if it was a thing that people could, you know, do, you know, if it was just like a crew that did it specifically and you had to be part of that membership.
Yeah,
you know
what
I
mean, they're definitely doing it, but I do know that I've had a couple of like my clients that were like, oh yeah, I'm gonna suspend. I'm like, oh shit, or go get it.
Right.
I don't know how they. I mean, I'm sure they just inquired about it.
Sure.
So, but yeah, there's been a few things where they were suspending and I saw them, you know, they tore, which is like a bloodbath.
Yeah, man, I can't imagine, because the hook's like what, like big as your pinky, yeah?
They're pretty big.
I mean, pretty.
Yeah, they're definitely pretty big.
Shark hooks, man.
Yeah, they're huge hooks. You know, they're not gonna straighten out. You know, it's not like a safety.
It's gonna rip through your skin, man.
Yeah, I've never seen one like actually like rip, but I've seen it to where it tore enough to where it did bleed pretty bad, but never like actually like ripped out, like not like ripped out and was
that's what I was
like
thinking.
a huge gash.
Yeah.
But I've definitely seen it to where it ripped quite a bit, to where even once they took the hooks out, it was just like a bloodbath.
Phew.
You know,
man.
So, but I think the you know, that again goes back to you know, the what's going to make you know, shock value.
Sure.
And obviously some people are just into that type of
that
thing.
type of crowd, you know what I mean? That type of lane.
Well, I think with the whole piercing thing itself, you know, like when I was younger, I was into piercing. I used to pierce myself, and it was an alternative thing, and I think tattooing has been so accepted that like the piercing has gone so extreme that like that, you know, the stuff that they are doing now is definitely like setting them apart from the general public, which I totally understand, you know, like that's what I was trying to do. You know, I was 19 years old and I had a full sleeve,
Yeah.
you know, and that was setting me apart from the general public to have a full sleeve, have your neck tattooed, be, you know, heavily tattooed. That was setting you apart from the general public. And I feel like now the general public is so tattooed that the body modification stuff is like, okay, well, I need to be set apart from those people. So now let's go ahead and cut my dick in half.
Yeah, right. Let's do the taco spread, right?
Yeah. So like, I feel like I get it. I understand, you know, like, hey, I don't want to be like the general public anymore. I want to be above and beyond and crazier than ever. So I feel like the bar is just so high for that, you know? So it's definitely something that is to be said, you know, like
absolutely,
as
man.
Like what's next?
Yeah, what's the next shock? You know, I don't know, man. You know,
I have seen some like I literally have seen some crazy shit. Like, I mean, I've seen a dude in Philly and his girl, like they cut their noses off.
Oh yeah,
they like they've done some. They got their eyes black.
The ears are getting cut now.
Yeah,
finger cut off.
Yeah, there's it's so extreme, and you know, I don't hate on it. It's just not for me.
Yeah, it's just not for me. It's just that lane they went down. But
everybody always asks me, they're like, "When are you gonna get your face tattooed?" I'm like, "Nah, I probably won't."
Yeah.
Like, nah, I don't think I will.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like it's maybe just the era that I grew up at, and maybe, you know, the peers that I hang out with, and maybe the, you know, like, I don't know. I'm just me personally, just not into it.
Sure.
You know, I at one time I was about to get my face tattooed. I was gonna get some stuff on my temples, and it kind of felt like if you were a tattoo guy, you had to get your face tattooed.
Yeah.
Everybody started getting their faces tattooed, right. And it just kind of turned into this, you know, like, oh, if you're a tattooer, you got to get your face tattooed. So now I'm kind of to the point where I'm like, well, I'm glad I didn't get my face tattooed, because now every tattooer's got their face tattooed. Yeah. And I try to avoid trends.
Yeah.
I've always been like against the grain as far as like what's trendy and what's not.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
So I'm like really not. I don't know, really not into that whole thing.
Yeah, my mom said that she's like, as long as I'm alive, don't get your face tattooed. That's all I ask. And I'm like, Mom, I got you.
Yeah, you know, and that's kind of thing, you know, like the older you get, you know, the more you want to make your fucking folks happy. Yeah. You know, like I remember when I was a kid, that was like, they could have told me, it didn't matter what they told me.
Right.
Like they could have been like, oh, don't do this, don't do that. I'm like, I'm doing it. You know, but now it's like the older you get, the more you're like, yeah, all right, I got you.
I got a good story about that, man. When I got my stomach blasted, and I came home, and my mom just bawled her eyes out.
Oh yeah,
bawled her eyes out. She's like, "What did you do to yourself? You're not gonna be able to get into heaven now. You marred your body." And I'm like, "Ma, you know, it's not like that. You know, I'm gonna be all right." Years later, I became a tattoo artist. You know, and they ended up tattooing my mom.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah, 100%. So yeah, I got the same story. I told my folks, I came home and said, hey, I got the job at the tattoo shop. And they're like, no, you're not doing that shit.
Right.
You're getting a real job. Yeah. You know, to remind you, I already had a dozen tattoos. Mm-hmm. You know, I started getting tattooed when I was 16. But they go ahead and they said, no, you're not getting no job tattooing, you know, and that's for bums and blah, blah, blah. And you know, tattoos are for losers and blah, 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 blah. And then sure as shit, you know, 15 years later, I'm throwing a tattoo on my dad.
Full
you know?
circle, man.
You know, he's like, yeah, you think we can throw an eagle up here? I'm like, yeah, I got you, old man. I got you. Don't you worry about it. I got you. You know, so yeah, it's definitely, I think once they realize like, hey, wait, I was like, you know, my folks, I got the job at the tattoo shop. They'd never even been in a tattoo shop. They don't know anybody that had tattoos. They don't know nothing about tattoos. So like my dad literally thought that tattoos cost $2-3.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? I was like, no, just that little one that I got, that was that was $80 back in 1996.
Sure. Yeah.
And like he was just like, what? I'm like, yeah, and that dude's doing like 10 of those.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was it was just kind of like one of those things. Like they grew into it to where they're like, oh shit,
right?
And then
right.
they see me, they see me doing tattoos, making a decent living, and actually like, oh wow, he's actually turning this into a job, like a real job.
Right? They never thought it could be that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh wait, he's not hitting us up for money. Wait a second.
Yeah, what's going on here?
Kid that has a real job.
Right?
He's hitting us for money every day. Wait a second. What's going on here? Yeah. So I think it grew on them, and they are basically they're haters at first, and my mom did the same shit. I'm like, oh, she's like, why are you doing this to me? Why? Crying about me getting tattooed, and I was like, look, man, like this train is rolling, and it ain't stopping. I remember I told my mom, you got to take me to go get my first tattoo, or otherwise I'm just gonna get it out of somebody's house.
Right.
Like, take me to a professional, or I'm just gonna go get it from some dude out of his garage.
Right.
And she was like, she freaked out about it. As much as I'm sure she was just like, God, this is the worst thing that could ever happen to me. I'm sure there's worse.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah, man.
So yeah, but she grew into it and she figured it out, and now it's all right. So I don't think any of my parents have any I don't think they have any griefs, or I don't even think they could grief, So R.I.P. my old man, but he was a pretty proud peacock for a while there. He's like, yeah, you did all right.
Made the old man proud.
Yeah, he
Good feeling, bro.
Yeah, he did all right.
Hell yeah.
So, but well, it was great having you.
Absolutely, brother. I appreciate it. 100%.
Chrome Gypsy Compounds podcast is going to be in full effect from here on out. We're going to try to make this a regular thing. We'll get you back on here again. We'll talk about some other shit.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it.
I want to thank everybody for watching the Cleen Rock One Walk Up podcast. And thanks for tuning in, and look forward to checking out the next episode. So we'll see you next time.